another Raw Advantage interview for you right here. Chris Kendall, we got Karen Ranzi. Welcome, Karen.
Hi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're actually at Karen's house right now. Where are we again? We're in Ranzi.
We're in Ranzi. Now, it's spelled differently than my last name. My last name is R-A-N-Z-I. Okay? It's not your typical name. So.
Which is often mistaken.
Often misspelled, even on the internet, people misspell it.
Yeah, because I thought it was Ranzi actually, and then we came to Ranzi. I'm like, well, what the heck, you know? Because I'm Kendall, I live on Candle, and it's kind of similar. It's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. Yeah. We just came from the Woodstock Fruit Festival. This is the last interview. I'm happy to get you, Karen, and get you here because we were talking about doing it back there, but you know, now we're here, so this is good. Yeah. But Karen's, you know, she's a long-term raw foodist. How long have you been raw food?
Close to 18 years.
18 years, so that's very impressive. And you're also a mother and an author and a whole bunch more, you know, budding entrepreneur, or probably for a while, right?
Yeah, I've been teaching my Creating Healthy Children class even before the book Creating Healthy Children came out. I've been traveling, going to health institutes and health festivals and seminars all over the United States. Now it looks like I'm going to have an opportunity to go and spread the word in Europe.
Beautiful, that's awesome.
Because I'm just passionate about spreading the word that, you know, I know that people, you know, feel comfortable as adults to eat raw foods, fruits and vegetables as a lifestyle, but very often they don't feel comfortable for their own children.
Yeah, that's true.
And so it's my goal to show people that this way of eating is natural, and that it is the way that we are meant to eat, that we need to get back to our roots in order to have healthy families, and it's the only way to do it, is to go to raw fruits and vegetables, fresh and uncooked. And my own grandmother told me, as I was growing up, what had happened to her in the early 1920s. She read a book called The Mucusless Diet Healing System by Arnold Ehret, and it came out around 1917. Yeah. She read it in the early 1920s. She had asthma and emphysema, and the doctors told her she was going to die. Like, she was really had a severe emphysema, and she healed in under a year, going to vegetarian, and then vegan, and then raw foods. And as I was growing up, she was frequently living with us, and she told me all the time, tell your mother not to cook all the food.
That's so amazing.
She's cooking the energy out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're really fortunate. It's not too common that we have, you know, the older generation telling us that, other than, you know, not all raw all the time anyway. I'm sure always eat your fruits and vegetables, but to have that concrete example in your life.
Yeah, I was one of these people who was really fortunate, because most of the people that I'm meeting when I go out and do my talks, they're hearing this, and some of them are coming from health, and they just want to lead healthy lives and increase their life potential. And then there's other people who are coming from a situation of illness, and they want to feel better. But most of them didn't have anybody in their family who was telling them to do this. Yeah. So I had it in my childhood, and I ignored it for many years. But when my own child was ill, that's when it came back to me. Yeah. And of course, I didn't want my child to be ill, and nothing else was working. This is the only thing that was effective.
Yeah. So you've gone through it. You've had the personal experience with raising raw children and the ups and the downs, the social aspects of it. The, you know, puberty, everything, you know, from
all the way through.
All through. So.
And my own personal experiences, because I had cystic acne all over my face and my back for about 20-25 years, and I was going to two different dermatologists, and I was getting hydrocortisone shots in my face. Yeah. Very painful. Yeah. And I kept asking the dermatologist, does it have anything to do with what I'm eating? My father tells me it has a lot to do with what I'm eating. Nothing to do with what you're eating. You can eat all the cheese doodles you want. Yeah, yeah. Because I love cheese doodles.
Well, but wait a second. I thought healthy skin tissue had to do with you know, undamaged EFAs and blah blah blah. Yeah, dermatologists are pretty crazy.
It was really very simple.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of changing the diet and getting a lot of water-rich foods into my diet. Yeah. The foods that I was eating were all depleted. You know, whether it was cooked or dehydrated, it was all very depleted and acid forming in my body. And once I switched to a diet that was high in fresh plant foods, 3 months and the skin was clear.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. You were fortunate too to you know, catch on with Arnold Earhart too. He's an amazing teacher and has really great books as well. Was that the first book that you actually got to read then too, or?
Well, yes, because that was the book that my grandmother wrote about and talked about.
Yeah.
So because when my child was ill, that was the first thing that popped into my head after trying all kinds of other paths that led us nowhere. I then got the book and I read that, and then I started reading other books and going out and hearing speakers, and that was about 19 years ago. And then about 18 years ago it just made total sense, so I went raw vegan overnight, and haven't looked back once. I haven't had the desire to have other foods.
Cordon bleu.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of years, the winter time was really tough.
Yeah.
I was very cold, especially living in the Northeast.
Yeah.
So we did take our vacations in the winter time. We went to Costa Rica.
Oh.
So that was really nice.
Pretty awesome.
We went to Costa Rica or
That's
to
awesome.
Colombia. My husband's family is in Colombia, so we would go down there in the winter. And that was really helpful. But in the winter times, I was very cold the first couple of years. But after the first couple of years, my circulation improved, and I was no longer cold. And now I adapt very well to the cold or to the heat.
You can't tell, but it's actually about -20 right now. We're just hanging out, you know, because we're superhumans. But no, it is. I totally agree. The first 2 years I was freezing, and after that it just improved dramatically. You know, it's pretty amazing. With all your experiences too with raising kids and you know, helping others as well. You've been doing consults on this, I'm guessing, for quite a long time as well. Have you had any amazing stories with that, or?
I have. I've had a lot of amazing stories. One of the most recent stories that I was really thrilled to find out about was that when I spoke at the Woodstock Fruit Festival this past week, a family came to the festival with my book for me to sign, and they had purchased my book a while back, and this family was living a standard food lifestyle. They were not eating healthfully, and they didn't really think they were doing anything different than what they were supposed to do. But the woman became very ill with arthritis, and her husband was Googling to try to find some help for her. And at the same time, they have a little boy who's very young, about 2 years old, and she couldn't take care of him. She was in bed, and she was crying all the time. It was really very hard for her. She was in such pain from the arthritis. And he Googled and he found my book, and he bought the book and he read it, and they began to transition to a raw food lifestyle. And they came to the festival, and she told her story during one of my classes, and she was really happy that she learned this information and that she can now take care of her child. And so that was really exciting for me.
That's so awesome.
That was really exciting.
No greater gift, Dave, than to be able to uplift and help another in there like that.
Definitely.
Amazing gift.
I've also spoken at some universities, and that's one of my goals, is to get into universities, colleges, schools, public schools, private schools, wherever they'll take me, so that I can give a lot of this information to the students, and especially college students who are going out into the world in a few years and having their own children. I wish I had a class on the kind of information that I'm giving,
Everyone
because
needs it.
It's not taught in college.
No, everyone needs it. Everyone needs it. That empowerment of young mothers, of everyone, of families, to be able to better themselves, their children, the whole gamut. It starts from there, right?
Exactly. Even from like the first food. I spoke at Penn State University and then at the University of South Carolina, and there were young women in my class there that had babies. They were older students who already had children, and the children were on formula. And I spoke a lot about one part of my book, which is actually half of my book, on attachment parenting.
Or amazing things about this.
Yeah, because it's not only about the food. A big part of it is about the emotional, mental, spiritual piece, and that creates the healthiest children possible. And it's just as important as the food. They're equally important. You've got to have both.
Yeah.
And so with the attachment parenting, you know, when I talked about the breastfeeding, the long-term breastfeeding and how important it was.
Yeah.
Because the connection, first of all, the emotional bonding between the mother and the baby is so important. Yeah. In addition to the lifelong nutrition and immunity that the child gets from the mother's milk.
For sure.
It cannot be duplicated.
No,
there's
no way.
nothing
there's no
that can duplicate
at
it.
all. No substitute.
Yeah.
That
So
is.
I've had a couple of mothers come over to me following my classes and tell me that they were going to make some changes. One woman was even going to try to go to La Leche League and get a lactation consultant to help her to start nursing again.
Oh, man.
Because she had stopped nursing and her child was on formula. There is a way to get women to start nursing again, and lactation consultants, there's a lot of good ones out there.
That's a hugely valuable resource, because so many people are so misinformed on first food, not only just in terms of, you know, breastfeeding and then even just first solid foods, and the entire growing years of a child. There's differences from where we're at, or from first year, second year, third year, so that information is completely invaluable.
And most of the women who are raising children, they are indoctrinated with information that is given to them through programming, you know, through the TV, and even through schools, which, you know, there's a monopoly on those schools by big industry. And so they don't understand what is the proper food to feed babies after they are weaned from nursing, or after maybe they're not weaned, because it's much better to do long-term nursing, but when they start eating solids, you know, what to feed them. And most women give cereal grains to their babies. And that's right. It's hard.
When I was in nutritional school, that was one of the things they taught, and I almost threw down the book. I was like, this is complete horse crap. Like, how intuitively wrong is that? It's like, cook fruits or grains, rice cereal for the first food. It's
rice cereal.
Are you kidding me?
I know.
Like, this is what they're teaching in schools. This is what nutritionists teach. It's so counterintuitive. It boggles the mind.
And they don't actually understand that a child does not have the salivary enzyme ptyalin or the pancreatic enzymes to process complex starches until between ages 3 and 4. And they're giving babies like rice cereals
burp them up on
and all kinds
diarrhea
of starches like in their infancy. And it's
ear infections, diarrhea, nose drain, those are normal.
Colic, adenoids and tonsils end up having to be taken out because of it.
Vaccination. Oh god.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, this is we can't get into everything here. We can't get into everything.
These are like classes that could be like, you know, 3-4 hours at a time.
These are, I mean, so many amazing subjects that are so underplayed and undervalued in mainstream society that, you know, I've researched, I've learned a lot, but Karen had them firsthand, has, you know, dealt with them not only with herself, with her family, but with multitudes of other families, helping them out to see through all the you know, the hogwash and just create healthy children. I mean, that's the name of your book, right?
Creating Healthy Children Through Attachment, Parenting, and Raw Foods. And I had to include both parts of that book. And some women have told me that they feel that it's the encyclopedia of raising children on raw vegan foods.
I believe it. You know, I mean, it ain't no shrimpy book. This is definitely the best book resource that I've seen. I haven't gotten to read through it, but just from talking to people whom I know and trust in this movement, and who, you know, have things to say about you and what you portray and share with others, I'm really thrilled to have you on here and to expose you to everyone in my list and everyone I know. So
I'm excited to talk about it, as I
Yeah.
always am. I'm passionate just to get the word out, and you know, anybody who has any questions can always email me. And my website is superhealthychildren.com. And so you can always get a hold of me through superhealthychildren.com. There's some articles on my website. There's book reviews, lots of book reviews. I have a blog, and I just started a blog recently and would love to have some good discussion going on my blog. So anybody who's got topics that they want to bring up, that's a good place to do it.
That's awesome. I know some aspiring raw mothers, new raw mothers, and I'm sure that a lot of them will come over and check out what you have to offer, because I know that you have a lot to offer. And you have an ebook too, or it's coming out. This will be out in a few months, so it'll be.
Yeah,
it might
the
even be
ebook
that
is
time.
almost done
Yeah.
and ready to go. It'll be up on Kindle and EPUB.
So awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I waited a year, but now I'm ready to let it go electronically.
Upward and onward. Blow it all out. There's that
That's
need.
right.
There's that need.
That's
for
right.
Sure.
I definitely want to get it out to the world. And I know as women who are busy moms, you know, that some of them aren't going to be able to sit and read much of a physical book. But it's also very easy in that, you know, it's a very detailed table of contents.
Yep.
And I also have a very thorough index so that you can look up things and get to them pretty quickly. So, you know, you don't have to read the whole book to get to something that you might be interested in at the moment.
And just like you said, it's the example of the people who came to the festival this weekend. It's a family thing. The father reads it, the mother reads it, they all get what they need from it.
Also.
Exactly, and then it becomes an open dialogue that heightens and, you know, helps the whole family grow, not only nutritionally, but as a tight unit. So.
Exactly. Also in chapter 28 in the book is 30 raw food families around the world sharing their stories of healing, raw pregnancy, teenager stories, families and how they're living and how they're enjoying their raw food lifestyle and how healthy they are and feeling such abundance. So there's stories that I couldn't really take out any. So because each story is so different.
Oh, more. That's amazing. You know, I'm super excited. I'm going to be reading the book and I'm going to do a book review. So maybe I'll put up, if it's okay, put up like the chapter list or something like that. You know, like an excerpt or two, and just talk more about it on a future post that maybe near this. Maybe I'll do that during this, and hopefully in the future actually be an affiliate and sell your books one day. Hopefully that'd be really great.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
That'd be awesome, and I totally support your work.
Bless you. Thank you. You know, is there anything else you'd really love to end with, or anything you'd love to share?
You know, I just really want parents to understand that in today's society, we have a lot of epidemics going on, and we really need to search ourselves, our hearts, and also to think about, you know, how people originally lived and how tribes live. They don't eat processed and refined foods. They eat simply, and they eat the fresh plant foods. That's where all of the nutrients are. That's a nutrient-dense diet. And it's a whole lifestyle. And so, you know, things like autism and asthma and diabetes, I mean, these are illnesses that really are not necessary. And children don't have to have any of these illnesses, these diseases.
Yeah, exactly. Self-created disease. It's a wild thing. Well, it's definitely a pleasure to have you on here, Karen. Thank you again so much, and thanks for hosting us here at your house. It's been cool to see where you're at.
It's great having you here.
Excited for next year at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, 2012, hopefully.
Yes, and I also on September 11th, in just a couple weeks, my daughter's coming in from Colorado, and she and I are doing a class together here in New Jersey called Raw Food Fun for Kids.
Beautiful.
Already some of the people from the Woodstock Fruit Festival have signed up. So, and
so
we're going to prepare very
month?
Simple recipes together with only a couple of ingredients.
So when
that's on a Sunday.
Sunday,
September 11th.
Okay, well maybe I'll try and get this out fast so that this comes out before September 11th. This can be quick. We'll get it out. We'll get it out there hopefully. But thanks again, Karen. It's definitely
Thank
awesome.
you.
You've seen it here. Raw Advantage, Karen Ranzi.
Karen Ranzi. Creating healthy children, sucker.